Welcome to the deep dive. You know that feeling, right?
Mhm.
You've studied English, you understand the grammar, you know quite a few words. But then you open your mouth to speak and nothing comes out.
Mm.
Or it feels really stilted.
Yeah, that freezing moment. It's incredibly common for learners.
It really is.
And often it boils down to, well, a couple of things. Overthinking, definitely. Worrying about making mistakes, perfectionism,
Mhm.
and this big one. The habit of translating everything in your head from your native language first, word by word sometimes.
Exactly. And that translation habit, that's what we're really zeroing in on today. This deep dive is all about helping you train your brain to skip that step, to
Yeah.
actually think directly in English.
Right. So your speaking becomes more automatic, more, natural, less like doing mental gymnastics every time.
So the first big hurdle we need to tackle, the focus for today, is really breaking that mental translation habit.
It sounds simple, maybe, but stopping that internal translator is absolutely fundamental. It's step one for real fluency.
Okay, let's get into the why then. Why is translating in your head such a barrier? What's actually going on?
Well, think about it. English isn't just your native language with different labels slapped on. The whole structure can be different.
Yeah, sentence order, how you phrase things.
Exactly. Idioms, expressions, even how people typically organize their thoughts when they speak English. It often doesn't map one to one.
Oh, absolutely. We've all heard or maybe even made those translations that just sound off or plain wrong in English, even if you translated each word correctly.
Precisely. And beyond just sounding unnatural, the act of translating itself is, it's extra work for your brain. A lot of extra work.
Right.
You're formulating the thought in language A, then you're consciously converting it to language B. That's two steps instead of one.
So it inevitably slows you down, makes you hesitate.
It does. It slows you down, makes speech choppy, and often less natural. It's like trying to have a quick chat while constantly consulting a dictionary in your head.
Huh. Yeah, not ideal. So to get that smoother, more confident flow, we need to build a more direct connection. Thought straight to English.
That's the goal. Think of it like building a new road. Instead of taking the old winding translation route through your native language, we want a direct highway from the idea straight into English words and structures.
Okay, so how do we start building that highway? Where do we begin dismantling this, deeply ingrained translation habit? Let's talk practical steps.
Let's do it. Technique number one, start super simple, just naming things. Object labeling.
Okay.
So wherever you are right now, just look around you. See a chair, think chair. See a lamp, think lamp. Window, window. Phone, phone.
And the key here at this stage is just the word, right?
Yeah.
No sentences.
Exactly. Don't worry about this is my phone or the window is large. Just the single word. Object, English word.
So you're creating that direct link, bypassing the need to think of the word in your own language first.
That's it, precisely. And try to do this, just for a few moments throughout your day. Waiting for the kettle to boil, name things on the counter, sitting on the bus, label things outside.
Little bursts of practice.
Yeah. Over time, your brain starts making those connections automatically. Chair is chair, window is window, no middleman needed. It builds that instant recall. You know how fast you name things in your first language?
Instantly, yeah.
That's what we're aiming for, starting with these basic nouns.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So label things around us. Once that starts feeling a bit more comfortable, what's the next logical step?
Then you add just a little bit more. Move from single words to very short, simple descriptions.
Okay.
So you see the book on the table. Instead of just book, you think, book on table. Or you see a blue car, you think blue car. Or maybe fast car.
Still keeping it very simple, though. We're not aiming for poetry here.
Definitely not. The goal isn't complex grammar right now. It's about getting used to forming tiny little thoughts, little descriptive chunks, directly in English. Red apple, hot coffee, big window.
So it's like graduating from single bricks to laying 2 or 3 bricks together.
Exactly. You're training your brain to think in small English phrases, not just isolated words. It makes building longer sentences later feel much less intimidating. It's amazing how quickly your brain adapts if you feed it this consistently.
All right, so we've labeled objects, we've added short descriptions. Technique 3 brings us into the picture, thinking about our own actions.
Yes. This is about narrating your life internally, in simple English. As you do things, just mentally describe the action.
Okay, give me an example.
So you're getting dressed, you think putting on shirt or tying shoes. You're walking to the kitchen, think walking to kitchen, making tea, pouring water.
Ah, so now we're connecting verbs, actions, directly to English as they happen, not just static objects.
Precisely. You're processing your own activities in English in real time. Instead of doing something, thinking about it in your native language, and then figuring out how to say it in English, you just think the English phrase as the action occurs.
It feels more immediate, more like how kids learn, maybe,
Mhm.
connecting words directly to experiences.
Very much so. You're tacking into that natural association process, and like the object labeling, consistency is key here.
Right, it probably feels a bit weird or forced at first.
It might. You might have to consciously remind yourself, but stick with it. Soon, that little internal English narrator will start feeling, well, more natural, less like an exercise and more like just thinking. Like learning anything physical, it gets smoother with practice.
Okay. Now, this next one, technique 4, responding immediately in English. Now, this sounds like it could be a bit nerve-wracking.
It can push you out of your comfort zone for sure, but it's incredibly effective at breaking that pause, translate, speak cycle.
So the idea is someone asks you something in English.
And you resist that powerful urge to mentally translate it, figure out your answer in your native language, translate that back into English, and then finally say it.
Okay, so what do you do instead?
You answer immediately with whatever English comes to mind first, even if it's simple.
So classic example, how are you?
Instead of that whole internal translation process, just boom, good, thanks, pretty good, not bad. All right, whatever feels quick and easy.
The speed's the crucial part then. Don't give the brain time to default to translating.
Exactly. You force yourself to access your English directly, spontaneously. It might not be the most eloquent answer you could possibly give,
Right.
but it short-circuits that translation habit, and honestly, it makes your English sound much more natural, more conversational. Quick, simple answers are very common in everyday English.
Yeah, that's true. It trains you to think on your feet in English.
Yeah,
Builds confidence too, maybe.
definitely. Even small, successful interactions like that build momentum.
Okay, technique. This one moves the thinking in English idea into our internal world, even when we're not talking to anyone, using English for mental tasks.
Yeah, so you know those little mental notes or plans you make all day? Try doing them in English.
Like a to-do list in your head.
Exactly. Instead of thinking in your native language, I need to remember to buy bread, think, need to buy bread, or buy milk and eggs. Planning your morning, think, okay, 9 a.m., emails, 10 a.m., meeting.
Ah, so you're making English the language of your internal organization.
Right. You're actively choosing English for those internal thought processes. It's a subtle shift, but doing this consistently helps make English feel more like your brain's default operating system, not just something you switch on for conversations.
Like creating an internal immersion environment.
That's a great way to put it. You're surrounding your thoughts with English.
So these are all really practical techniques.
Yeah.
But I'm curious now about, well, the deeper stuff. Beyond just vocabulary and avoiding translation, do native English speakers actually think differently? Is the structure of thought different?
That's a really interesting question. And yeah, I'd say there are definitely tendencies and patterns in how native speakers often structure and express thoughts. It's not just about the words themselves. Fluency isn't just vocabulary size. It's also about understanding those kind of unspoken conventions of the language, how ideas flow naturally in English.
So what are some of those patterns? What stands out?
Well, one thing you often notice, especially in spoken English, is a tendency towards clarity and directness. This often means using shorter sentences.
Right. Breaking things down.
Exactly. Rather than crafting one long, complex sentence with multiple clauses, native speakers often break down a complex idea into smaller, more manageable chunks. Doesn't mean they can't use complex sentences, obviously.
Of course.
But in everyday conversation, shorter and more direct is often the default. Streamlined communication.
Can you give an example of that contrast, like a more complex thought versus how it might typically be said?
Sure. Imagine you need help. You could construct something very formal, like, excuse me, if it wouldn't be too much of an inconvenience, I was wondering if you might possibly be able to lend me some assistance with this task.
Okay. Very polite, but a bit wordy for everyday chat.
Right. A native speaker in most situations would likely just say, can you help me with this? Or even more casually, hey, need a hand with this? Or could you help me out?
Much more direct. Gets straight to the point.
Exactly. It cuts out the extra fluff. And this directness often carries over into responses, too.
How so?
Native speakers don't always reply with full, grammatically perfect sentences. Quick, short responses are very common.
Right. Like if I ask, how was your weekend?
You probably wouldn't get a 5-minute monologue immediately. You're more likely to hear, pretty good. Yeah, relaxing, busy. Not bad, you.
Short, efficient, keeps the conversation moving.
Precisely. It's part of that natural conversational rhythm.
Something else that definitely stands out when you listen closely is the use of filler words. Things
Uh-huh.
like, well, like actually. I mean, they seem to be everywhere. What's their role?
Yes, fillers. They're actually really important, even though they sometimes get a bad rap. They do a few things. One, they buy you thinking time. A little pause filler, like, um, well, gives your brain a split second to catch up or find the right word without just going silent, which can feel awkward.
Right, avoids the deer in headlights pause.
Exactly. And two, they make speech sound more natural, more conversational, less, I don't know, robotic or overly formal, like sort of they soften things, add a certain rhythm.
So instead of a blunt, I disagree, someone might say, well, actually, I kind of see it differently.
Perfect example. Well, actually kind of makes it sound much less confrontational, more like you're just offering another perspective.
But there's a danger of overdoing it, right? Too many likes and you knows.
Oh, absolutely. That's the crucial caveat. Used judiciously, they're great. Overused, they can make you sound hesitant, unsure, or like you can't quite articulate your thoughts. It's a balance. Listen to fluent speakers you admire and notice how they use them, not just that they use them.
Good point. So recapping the thinking like a native aspects, aim for shorter, clearer sentences generally. Respond quickly and naturally, often with short phrases. And use fillers strategically, not excessively.
That sums it up well. And underpinning all of this, perhaps the most important mindset shift is accepting mistakes.
Ah, yes, the fear of mistakes.
It's huge, but mistakes are not just inevitable, they're essential for learning. Don't let that fear stop you from trying to think and speak in English. Every attempt, even flawed ones, strengthens those neural pathways. You learn by doing, and doing involves making errors.
That's such a crucial reminder. Okay, so we've got the theory, the techniques, the mindset. Let's give our listeners something concrete to do today, a day one challenge.
All right, let's make it focused. For the next hour, just set aside 1 hour. Your challenge is this. Actively, consciously, mentally name everything you can see around you in English. And the key rule, no translating first.
Just direct object to English word. Look at a table. Think table. See a picture. Think picture.
Exactly. For 1 whole hour, make that your primary mental activity related to your surroundings.
And if people are feeling ambitious, can they add a layer?
Yes. If the labeling feels okay, try adding the action narration too. As you do things during that hour, describe them simply. Drinking water, reading email, walking outside.
Keep it simple, keep it direct, keep it in English for that hour.
That's the plan, and we genuinely want to hear how this goes for you. After you've done your hour, please jump into the comments and share. Tell us one thing, an object, or an action that you described directly in English without translating.
Yeah, and let us know how it felt. Was it easier than you expected? More difficult? Did you catch yourself translating? Sharing those experiences really helps everyone.
It really does. It creates a community of learners supporting each other.
Okay, so the big takeaway today, stop translating. Start training your brain to think directly in English using these techniques.
Labeling objects, adding simple descriptions, narrating your actions, responding quickly, using English for mental tasks. It all adds up. Consistency is your friend here.
Absolutely. And if you found this helpful, make sure you join us for our next deep dive. We'll be tackling another huge area for learners. The secret to learning English vocabulary much faster and making it stick.
Ooh, that's a good one. Definitely tune in for that. But for now, keep practicing, stay focused.
Remember, host speaker and expert speaker. Think in English.